evening. A former soldier who lied about his military career and pretended to have cancer in order to dupe people out of thousands of pounds has been jailed for 16 months. Simon Buckden from Leeds claimed that he carried out tours of duty in Bosnia, Rwanda and Iraq. In fact, he was an army clerk who had never seen frontline duty. Our correspondent John Cundy has our top story.
Ex-soldier Simon Buckden lied and lied. He lied about having cancer. He lied about his army records, about being exposed to danger and being in the SAS, suffering post-traumatic stress disorder. He was never there. Buckden bought his medals on the internet. A judge said, so insulting everyone who'd ever worn the uniform of the army.
It's absolutely horrendous. He's harassed people continuously, and there's a lot that didn't come out in court. There's a lot of damage been done to people and organisations, charities and individuals. It's absolutely unthinkable that this man has been allowed to get away with this for so long.
Playing the brave soldier, Buckden had been honoured to carry the Olympic torch through Leeds in 2012, the year his lying about cancer began. Simon Buckden received more than £8,000, he said, to raise awareness about post-traumatic stress disorder. A judge said it had been rather more about raising awareness about Simon Buckden.
He lied to those closest to him, to genuine sufferers of trauma, to the public and to the media. Although the monetary gain in this deception wasn't significant, the betrayal felt by many people was enormous.
Post-traumatic stress disorder.
Simon Buckden conned his local MP.
I've worked in the hospice movement. I've got friends and family that have suffered with mental health issues. And I just cannot understand anybody who would want to lie about being in that position, because when you're in that position, it is the most terrifying and difficult experience that you probably go through.
Simon Buckden had finally admitted 6 fraud charges on the 5th day of his trial last Friday. A judge deemed Buckden's lying had been breathtaking. John Cundy, BBC Look North, Leeds.
So how did he manage to pull the wool over so many people's eyes? The filmmaker Mark Curry made a promotional video about Simon Buckden, which was played in court. In it, Simon repeated many of his lies about his fundraising activities, his military record and his diagnosis of cancer.
I escaped and joined the army at 17. By the time I was 18, I was on the front line in Iraq. I also went to Bosnia, Northern Ireland and Rwanda. Dead bodies, mass war crimes and watching my friends die left me struggling with flashbacks and nightmares. During the challenge in 2012, I was diagnosed with cancer. I was unwilling to let this stop me. So against the orders of my doctor, I continued to run through my treatment. In June 2012, I was given the huge honour of carrying the Olympic torch in my home city of Leeds. And at the end of my relay, I proposed to my girlfriend. For the first time, I see a positive future.
So you can see from that promotional video just how convincing Simon Buckden was. Among those who initially accepted him at face value was Phil Lee, a former soldier who now runs a coaching business. He gave a lot of his time for free to Simon, but was the first person to go to the police about his concerns.
I smelt a rat with Simon Buckden in very early stages 3 years ago now, when Simon Buckden came to me for some personal one-to-one support and training. And it was clear at the very early stages that for me as a veteran, things that he was saying, they just didn't add up.
So what did you do? What was the first step that you took then to try and expose him?
Well, the first thing I did was I went to the police, which was the right thing to do. And when I went to the police, we had some initial challenges with the police who, for me, it felt as though they weren't really taking my concerns seriously.
And to such an extent, actually, that you were told, am I right in saying, hey, lay off, stop harassing this guy?
Yeah, the police, the second time I went to the police, I was actually told in no uncertain terms that actually it could be myself that gets arrested for harassing him.
Do you get some satisfaction today when you see that sentence of 16 months?
Well, I definitely don't take any joy in a person losing their liberty, but I do take some satisfaction knowing that the truth has finally come out. Because in this case, there were so many people whose voices weren't heard, who Simon Buckden had affected, and at last the truth about this individual is now finally out in the public domain.
And I suppose the thing that really knocks you is the fact that you're very much involved with veterans. We're coming up to Remembrance Day and so forth. Does what he claimed to be in Bosnia, in Iraq, all those places, is that what really upsets you?
Yeah, there was a lot of anger initially. I stood next to this guy at the cenotaph not that long ago, and he had a chest full of medals. And as we now know, he wasn't entitled to wear any of them. So there was anger, and it's fair to say that there's a degree of satisfaction knowing the truth again is finally out.
Next tonight, the owners of Meadow Hall Shopping Centre have submitted plans for a £300 million leisure hall based at its site near Sheffield.
The development will create hundreds of jobs during construction and over 1,000 once it's finished, but